Welcome back to the dopest show you won't get sick of. I'm Spencer. This is Sasha. I spent most of my 20s in federal prison, but I've been off heroin since April 9, 2010. Got a lot of stories about the stupid stuff I did to get put in prison, the crazy stuff that happened while I was in prison, and God forbid you end up in prison, want to make some of the same mistakes I made. So, my stepdaughter's asleep upstairs. Yesterday, Casey's mom, my stepdaughter's grandma, thought she was having a stroke. Had to be taken off in an ambulance. It's been rough days in the hospital, so prayers for that. But if my stepdaughter leaves a comment in the YouTube section and you guys would comment to that, that would be I mean, not comment, but if you'd go on her YouTube and subscribe, it would tickle her to death. Like, it would make her just be so happy, and I'd really appreciate it. Small favor, if you wouldn't mind doing, it'd be really nice. I'm going to see if I can get her to leave a comment, then you can click on her thing and subscribe. If you wouldn't mind, I would greatly appreciate it. So that's why I'm talking low, and that's why I'm talking with closer to the mic. I was a smuggler for one of the big stealers in my city, starting at 16 years old. I drove $6,000 to $20,000 worth back and forth numerous times. I have been chased. High-speed chases, people trying to run me off the road, take what they knew I had in the car, and probably leave me in a ditch, possibly without my life. And, being a 16-year-old, I do have to say this, I was used. I thought I was one of the boys, one of the crew, one of the people. What do 30-year-olds have hanging out with a 16-year-old? What sense does that make? I was used because if they got caught driving the same amount, they'd probably get 2 decades in prison, and I'd only get a year in juvenile hall. So that's the fact of that. But doing this driving, I had a lot of reflexes built into me. And I say reflexes because it's not simply just checking the rear view, checking the side mirrors to see who's following me. It's not just like, okay, gotta remember, gotta check. It's built into me. I do it. I can tell you what kind of cars, 2 or 3 back. It's something I do because it's what I had to do. It meant my life sometimes. I believe that honestly could be possible, because if I had a big load in the car, let's say I had $20,000 in the car driving it back for him, and I got ran off the road and they took it, why leave a witness so then they can retaliate? I mean, people done people for way less than 20 grand. So anyway, and being a kid, I wasn't a big guy, I didn't put on muscle till after I got locked up. So it's like 140 pounds. What was I gonna do, especially with a car full of 3-4 guys, But I had a souped up Honda S2000 with a supercharger. I watched the Fast and the Furious, got way too obsessed into that whole type of deal, and but I had a fast car, and it's what I put a good bit of money into. But anyways, so that reflex being in there, this is an unusual story. I think I only have one story about after prison. This is a wild, crazy story. Like, it could be a scene in a movie. It's that obscene and insane of how these circumstances lined up, because it's so unusual. Because today, these same circumstances, I can't see them lining up the way they did this day. So the only other story I have that's after prison is the one that says I got stabbed. Go figure. Stay in prison, don't get poked up, and I get sliced in the face by a crackhead trying to rob me after I get out of prison. But anyway, this is an after prison story. So Casey and I had dinner at my dad's house. We were in separate cars. She did not have a phone. Her phone was broken. Okay. I can't remember. I think one of the kids might have been playing with it and dropped it in a cup of soda or something. I think that might have been what happened. It was either that or the remote that happened with. Something got dropped in a cup of soda. But anyway, I had my phone. It died shortly, like as soon as I had left. It was on low battery, and I didn't have a car charger. Go figure. So this story starts off with Casey and I leaving my dad's house, separate cars. Neither of us have phones. So I don't have a way to call her. I don't have a way to call anybody else. I exit, and my dad lives on up on a mountain. It's all houses all across the mountain. It's 5 minutes from the city. Roanoke, Salem, Benton, altogether about 300,000 people. It's 5 minutes away from everything, but it's up on a mountain, and it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive off this mountain. So I take a left, and I see lights. Somebody follows me off. Well, typically anybody that's leaving off that mountain goes around this 5-10 minute roundabout of curves and mountain down the mountain to this stoplight, which is at an Allstate building, and there's a 50-50 chance they're going to turn left or turn right. You can make one of the two choices. And I turn left. This car turns left. It's behind me. So I get in the left lane. It doesn't get in the left lane, so I'm like, okay, maybe it's not, but my reflexes are kicking in. I drove drugs and I dealt with people trying to rob me over and over again for a good part of my before prison life, so this is a reflex. I mean, I can't help but think this. So we drive, I don't know, 5 miles, something like that, to this place called Lakeside. Lakeside, it's an intersection. To the left goes to Salem, Roanoke College. The Roanoke County Jail is actually in Salem, Virginia. Right goes to the ghetto, to Melrose and Orange, where stuff goes down. So I slowed down about 5 miles an hour, not enough to make a screech, but slow enough to where he would have to go in front of me unless he intentionally slowed down too. He ends up a little bit ahead of me, enough for me to see his license plate. It's a North Carolina license plate. I'm in Virginia, so that's distinct. I can remember that. And he has what looks like a police computer sitting beside me. You know how police have the computer in the passenger side? He has a police computer. It's unusual. So we're at this stoplight. I go straight. He turns right. I figure, hard to tell. He goes right, so I figure, he's gone. I continue driving. I continue being alert. I don't think too much of it because I'm trying to convince myself you're way too crazy with your old habits. So I go across this mountain. I'm going back to Casey's folks' place, and it's called Catawba Mountain. Beautiful scenery. I really do need to do a video up there. People travel there from hundreds, even thousands of miles to hike up in these places. Never went hiking up there, but it's got like this parking lot that just you don't understand like how huge of a valley this is. This is a mountain that's like thousands and thousands of feet up. It's cool. It's cool stuff. So I should do a picture video up there sometime. But anyway, I go across that mountain. It's a windy, curvy road, and I'm driving relatively fast. I'm in an Infiniti G35. It's actually a car it's had for a long time. I actually got my biggest speeding ticket in it like a decade before that, which that's another story. I was lived in Galax, Virginia for a little bit. But anyway, I don't have the the clicker to lock unlock it. I get to a gas station that is 5 miles outside of this town called Newcastle. That's a no stoplight town. You heard of one stoplight town? This is a no stoplight town that I'm speaking of. So it's very rare that two people would be inside this gas station at the same time. Very rare. So I pull up and I go inside, and when you press the lock button from the driver's side, the passenger side lock button where it's an older car, it wouldn't lock. You have to manually do it, and I figured, whatever, nobody's going to pull up, get in here. It does not have a pay at pump option. There's no credit card option. Well, I see a car pull up. Well, I didn't see them pull up, but I saw them drive away when I was inside, and I figured they just drove up and drove away. They couldn't have paid at the pump. Did they get my car? How could I be so stupid? So I go back out to the car, and I check it, make sure that I look, just observe my surroundings, and I see a car to the left, parked, facing the opposite direction, a quarter mile up the road. It's night. I can see the gray fumes of the exhaust coming up. And so it's running. And I guess they figured I was going to double back that way, that I just went to the gas station. I was going to retract back, but I took a right. They turned around. I'm not going to speed. I don't like dealing with police officers. I don't want to have to deal with the ticket, the court, everything that comes with it. The speeding ticket, it's just awful what it can do to you, and insurance, everything else. So I do not speed. But I do drive. It's 55. I do drive 60 on the dot around corners that most people take 35 around. I'm going close to 60 around those corners. So even though I'm not speeding on the straightaways, I'm going faster in these corners. But I can still see his lights approaching. And there's a big straight chute that leads into the city of Newcastle. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably a mile long before you get into it. It's just woods on either side. Then it's a small little town that literally, if you blink, you'll miss. I would say driving 35 miles an hour, it would take you 1 minute to get from one end to the other end and back into the woods. There are only about 1,000, 2,000 people who live there, so I'm thinking, this guy, if this guy's following me, it's looking like it. I'm going to find out. I'm going to get him. I've done this type of thing before, okay? So I know he's following me. I'm not going to take him to where I'm living. or where I'm going to stay, and wasn't living out there. I'm not going to take him where I'm driving, where I'm going to sleep at night. So when I get into the city of Newcastle, I take the first right, which it's a gridlock city, just with blocks like anything else. It's a small city, but there's, a few hundred houses. Sasha, ease up, girl. And there's a few hundred houses, blocks just like any other neighborhood. I take the first right, and then I see he takes the first right. I take the first left, but he took a left. So we're one block apart. I'm ahead, he's behind, and he can watch me as I'm driving, and I can see him off to the side. I pull into this bus station. I can actually show you guys a video of all of this. For those of you who are nerds like me, who like to see where stuff happened, I can show it to you if you're interested. I pull into this bus station, and I back into it. I turn my lights off. I leave the car on. And I say, if it's a car with North Carolina license plates, I'm getting followed. Something's going to happen here. And sure enough, I see lights approaching, and then I get in behind them without turning my lights on, and I see North Carolina license plate. I blast my high beams. Now I'm following you. Now you're going to have to get away from me. I'm behind you. I know you're following me. We got problems now. I chase him. We're going 50 to 70 miles an hour down 25-mile-an-hour road, but I don't know who this guy is. He ends up faking me out. Okay, he pulled a good one. There was nowhere to park at the gas station. Now, this is actually a gas station lots of people go to. They've got the slot machines. There was no parking space. He pulled up at the pump, got out, acted like he was going to go into the store. Big guy, too. Pretty big guy. Overweight, didn't look fit. Brown belt in judo, jiu-jitsu. I know I can handle somebody. I mean, of course, there are weapons and stuff involved, if that happens. But I'm seeing, what's going to happen here. But I'm confident enough to confront somebody, We're in a public place too, and I'm not going to go assault him, but I'm going to ask, what's your deal? Who are you? What's going on? Well, I get out, I park the car, and I start going to him, and he juked back in the car, and he took off, and I lost him. I went back to the house scared. Now you got to think, I don't have a cell phone. My cell phone's dead. Casey's cell phone's dead. I call my mom, and I end up saying, Mom, I need to tell you something. She's like, not right now. Somebody's following Casey. I said, whoa. Somebody's following me too. Casey drove right down Melrose into the ghetto and did U-turns, and she's crying with this guy following her. She does not know who he is. And ultimately, she went to a gas station that was halfway across Catawba Mountain, ran inside, crying her eyes out, saying, there's this man following me. I don't know what's going on. They locked the gas station, locked the doors, everything else. And we were scared to death. There's a lot of stuff about human trafficking and stuff. She was certain that they were trying to pick her up and, I guess pimp her out or whatever. That's something that has happened that is scary throughout this area. I knew they weren't trying to do that because they're following me too. Why are they going to follow me? They split us apart. If they split us apart, once they got us apart, they would have doubled back for her. But I'm wondering, who is this? Is this somebody? Is this a paid hitter? Is this somebody from my past? Is this somebody coming to get me? What's going on? I went into full-on, it's time mode. And ultimately, what we found out, anticlimactic part of this story, Casey injured her wrist. She had to have 2 surgeries. They had her doing a lot of work at this place that she worked at, and she sued them for it. I mean, her wrist, she can't, it's messed up for life, in tremendous pain. Like, she just has pain in it. She's had 2 surgeries on it, okay? She's had 2 surgeries in a row, and they were wanting to do a third one, and she said, no, I can't go through it again. They were following us. They were private investigators trying to get her less of a settlement, okay? And they were following us, and they continued to do surveillance at different places. They didn't ever come back here, though. I scared them off from coming here. Ultimately, she the settlement ended up getting clear, but that was a scary time. It's a wild, crazy story that scared the piss out of me. But I pulled in that parking lot and I turned my lights off, and I was like, I'm going to get you. And, it was cool because when you're the chased and then you turn it around and you become the chaser. Kind of reminds me of this guy I knew a story about in prison. He was a dope fiend, a crackhead on the street. Went to prison, and they used to have boxing in Virginia prisons. From what I've heard, don't know if he did it there or out, but he got strong, that lanky muscle. And whenever he went to prison, there were in jail witnesses. I've talked about it before, but there were people that bullied him, that beat him up when he was a dope fiend, that he beat the piss out of them once he got strong and became a boxer. So the dope fiend ended up beating the dealers. It's a cool story, like those type of comeback stories where somebody gets you and you're down and you get revenge. Well, this was not as epic as that, but it was cool for him to follow me to catch him, follow me, and get back. But they must have not been too good, because I'm actually very impressed and proud of Casey for recognizing that she was being followed. And she did the right thing. Went to a public place, ran inside. Probably should have done it a little bit sooner than she did. She did a bunch of U-turns, and this guy just blatantly, typically when private investigators, it's the biggest mark of shame on them when they get spotted. That means they suck at their job. So I wish I knew the name of this agency, but we got a license plate, and that's how we did it. We got a license plate, found out that it was from a private investigating agency that was in North Carolina, I guess. So you imagine, they must have been watching us half the day, and Casey said something about she felt like she'd been watched earlier that day, but she hadn't told me that. If she'd told me that, I'd have been on high alert and I would have been ready. And typically we would have rode home in like a caravan, 2-car caravan, but somehow we got split up at a light. And oh man, we always make sure we have a cell phone now. That's for sure. But this was a scary time. It was one I figured I'd share with you because it was wild. I can actually show you the locations of all these places I'm speaking of. If you would like to see them, let me know. Anyways, if you liked the video, if you think I earned it, even when I talk in this slow tone, she knows it's time to go. She's a smart girl. She's very well trained since she was a baby. Press the like button. And also, I'm going to get my stepdaughter to leave a comment down in the comment section. And if you would subscribe, maybe like a couple of videos, that would be incredible. It would mean the world to me, and it would have her tickled to death. So, if you liked the video, press the like button. If not, I have wasted exactly 17 minutes and 44 seconds of your life in which you will never get back. But I truly hope you did. You guys have a good day.